keep my fucking dishes clean and stay the fuck out of my heart, you know? Okay, so that motherfucker's name is Yang. And then the Lucifer looking motherfucker that's on the other side, that's Reinhard. His buddy is Oscar. I'm just going to say Oscar. I'm sure there's a German pronunciation for that, but whatever. Wolfgang, gotcha. Siegfried, that's that redheaded looking ass motherfucker. The mega douchebag is Gregor. By the way, it wasn't lost on me in the last episode, the movie, whatever, that there was a German side and then there was a Japanese side. So it was essentially the Germans and Japanese fighting each other. Like with the names, some of the way they structured things, like it was pretty obvious. I'm curious why they picked those two. Obviously Japanese because, you know, it was made in Japan. That's not the question. Why make Germans the enemy? Do the Japanese blame Germany for World War II? Because I feel like they had their own reasons. You know, they pretty much did their own thing. They didn't declare war against Russia ever. You know, so, like, you know, the Japanese did their own thing. They weren't, like, you know, Germany's bitch, right? So I don't know that I blame them. And you would think they would have made the enemy in this story Russian. Because that was kind of the vibe back in 88, right? Maybe they thought that was too obvious in 88. Now it wouldn't be so obvious, but maybe back then they thought it was like too obvious. Like, oh, well, everybody's making the Russians enemies. Let's see. Let me throw a dart. Germany, that'll work. Or maybe it's just the fact that Germany, besides Japan, Germany probably has the second best military tradition and legacy. You know, if we're just not talking about the horrible shit anybody's done, right? But if we just talk about traditions and legacy and the way they train and how good the troops are supposed to be and, you know, and how the troops got fucked over by the high commands in both cases, you can see a lot of analogs between the Japanese and German armies. So maybe that's it. Interesting to think about. Anyway, yeah, Gregor is a douchebag. Let me see. Paul seems to be his minion. So we got here. Yeah, that asshole's PETA. Yep, Dusty, that makes sense. He looks like a dusty motherfucker. The dude in the Star Wars Rebel fighter pilot outfit, that's Oliver. Alright, wait, there's two Dusties? What the fuck? Why do they have Dusty here twice? That's very confusing. Anyway, I'm going to use this as a cheat sheet, just so I can know who the fuck everybody is, right? Like, it doesn't matter, because visually I can look at them, but maybe sometimes I want to talk about somebody specifically, so now I've got this cheat sheet here, so we'll do that. Alright, well, as you can tell, we're going back into another Klaus Tier 4 Demand movie. This one is the second movie in the Legend of Galactic Heroes series. Overture to a New War. So, let's get this party started, shall we? I can tell you that if I had seen this shit when it first came out as a kid, I would have loved this series so much. Because this was my whole vibe back then. I was about action figures, naval battles, space battles. Oh man, I was all about this shit. I would have loved this. He should be promoted, motherfucker. Are you back talking to me, minion? Yeah, Kaiser. Yeah. Really, the World War I vibe. They ain't even trying to deal with World War II. Talk about the skirts, you know you're going to. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot less action in this episode. Because they are talking about Overture, right? And we'll probably meet the sister. Yep, this is her, the sister. Now I need to know her fucking name. I'll just call her sister. Let's not forget about his rivalry with Yang now. And here we go over to check out that side of things. That's right. Retreat home with your tail between your legs. I don't know why I'm on the German side. I really don't have a dog in this fight. I like people on both sides. That's the way it should be in this kind of story, right? Looks like we're going to get a lot more world building in this episode, which I like. Oh shit. I've been hitting that. This can't be good. That's not good either. First, let's talk, then sit down. Hell no. Boy, this ain't good, man. 3 strikes, you're out, motherfucker. How many years have we known each other? Jesus. You guys are dicks. Go the fuck over there, assholes. Jesus. The fuck you waiting for? This is when you start getting paranoid. The fuck you whispering about? Wait, she tried to flip this into a three-way? Is that what she's doing? He's like, oh, hell yeah. Let's do it. I got some cocaine in my room. Now she's got to close the deal, right? I don't know, man. He's twice my size. I don't think this is going to work. Yeah, it'll work. Don't worry. I got 2 holes. Wait, by ourselves? This motherfucker is crunk. I really like how they started this out, man. Like, it's all about the character journey, the emotional journeys of the characters. This is something we had no clue of this in the first episode. But let's get back to the dick waving and the fighting. Hey, sis, everybody's calling me a skirt now. Thanks. Okay, you made breakfast. That's a little bit better. Yeah. Why are you bringing the leaf roll over in here? Oh, no, that's a vacuum cleaner. Sorry. Yeah. And apparently your housekeeper knows this is a problem. Turn the fucking light off. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. Damn, does that cat have a beard and mustache? Am I drunk? Yeah, apparently the housekeeper knows about his emotional issues. That's very troubling. Am I gonna have to go back and look like that fucking cat had a beard and mustache? The fuck is that? It makes sense what they're doing here. God damn. God damn, man. I was just saying she's hot. Why are you jumping down my ass? Dick? Hey, she gave him some cake. He's still mad. Like, nothing was going to help this. They always put the glaze over. Every time he looks at her, they put this filter over the image. It's fucking hilarious, man. It's like if it was live action, they would actually put butter or some kind of glaze over the fucking camera lens, right? Yeah. Call him the load. Other people have to carry his weight. He's a load. Man, these motherfuckers are straight up assholes and traitors. Jesus. Again, war is politics. They've made it very clear. War is politics. Interesting. This is why the war's been going on so long. These motherfuckers are profiting off of it, so they're making sure it stays even. That's so much good. That's fantastic world building. Because it'd be hard in 150 years for one side not to have an advantage that they could close a deal on, right? That's great world building. You know, the best world building is the ones that answers questions before you think of the question. I hadn't even thought of that question yet. I would have eventually, but they answered it before I thought of it. Make preparations before you leave. Are you back up in my business again? Clean the fucking sink. Maybe it's his mother and not his housekeeper. Like, maybe I'm just being an asshole. She called him Commodore. No, she's not his mother. She's his fucking housekeeper. So I'm back to clean the fucking shit jacks. Yeah, go back to being a war orphan. Okay, got you. She's his ward. That makes more sense. She's talking cash shit to be 14 years old. Cash shit. That makes so much sense, though. I get it now. Why she's all up in his shit, you know? If she was just a housekeeper, I was ready to be really mad. Keep my fucking dishes clean and stay the fuck out of my heart, you know? Damn, man. Never let him see you stumble. Motherfucker been hitting that wine. I know he's old and sick. But I'm just saying, that motherfucker been hitting that wine. I'll cherish this. He's dying with that shit in his hand. I'm calling it, man. That motherfucker is dying with that shit in his hand. Hey, don't get overconfident, motherfucker. Jinxing ass. I'll be sure to score your ex-fiance on the rebound once you die, motherfucker. Problem with that is you got 13,000 plus ships in each one of these fleets. You approach from 3 different directions. You take your 20,000 and you attack one of those. What's up? It depends how much space we're talking about here. The fuck you think I'm looking at? I'm laying here. The only thing in my field of vision is stars. You're asking me about looking at the stars. I'll slap the red out of your hair, motherfucker. That is fucking hilarious. No, you're too dense. I don't care about your gratitude, motherfucker. Wow, never thought of this. We should have studied Alexander. Yeah, look at how shocked they are. What's up, bitch? Don't ever second guess me again. Get your ass back to the ship and follow my fucking orders. That's right, I don't want to hear another fucking word. Get back on your ship. That's right, play with my hair some more, sir. These motherfuckers are way too worried about the general's feelings. This ain't about feelings, man. We can go on Oprah and cry about our feelings later. This is about military discipline. Kiss me, you fool. What about the fourth side, sir? What about below and above? Oh no. Damn, our plan is stupid. I should have realized. Well, nothing to do but die. This motherfucker talking about what does this mean? It means bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. That's what the fuck it means. Yeah. Launch some other cool weapons. Launch every cool weapon we have. This motherfucker's getting smoked, man. Holy shit, man. The floor is trying to kill us. The floor is lava. The floor is lava. This motherfucker actually said, oh shit. Well, this is awkward. So you're gonna ask for advice and not take it. I'm sorry I ever asked for your stupid, young ass, correct opinion. I'd rather just have us all be destroyed. Just admit you're wrong, bitch. Everybody's talking about he's a brat. What is the age where you stop being a brat and you start being a man? What is that age? I guess it's closer than 20 years from whatever the guy speaking is, right? So if he's 40, if you're younger than 20, you're a brat. If he's 50, if you're younger than 30, you're a brat. That's probably the way it works. Keep talking shit, I'm coming across this table, bitch. This is impossible. Bullheadedness and arrogance is these motherfuckers' downfall, man. So, boy is gonna, for a third time, ask for Yang's opinion. And if I was Yang, I'd just sit here like this. Nothing to do but die! They are fools, aren't they? Fire everything! What's up? We're not really told what kind of projectiles they're using. Are they using, like, bullets? Is it lasers? It's a little unclear. And I'm fine with that. I'm glad it's unclear, because we don't really need to know the gory details. Well, we should have listened. Maybe I should execute him real quick. Yeah, we knew this was happening, by the way. It's about my ego! Dumbass. Like I said, man, they're not turning a blind eye to how fucking gory this shit is. They're definitely going to milk the whole Jessica thing. He's holding that, what did he say it was, a talisman? An amulet, maybe? He died as his live, cussing out his incompetent superior. This is good stuff, man. I really like how they did this. They edited this shit. Milking this shit. It's a little overdone, but I like it, man. And if I'd watched this when it came out, man, I would have really liked it. I would have drank that shit up, man. Sometimes it's a war movie, man. You gotta lean into the tragedy, you know? Especially the dudes that got a woman waiting for them. Oh, shit. Yep. Gotta have that little omen of doom, right? You're just now opening your gun ports. You deserve to die. God damn. Wait, is Jessica gonna lose both her slam pieces? This is how he does it. Okay, excellent. Nobody will ever know that I helped that pipe fall over. I could bandage up your neck and you would live, but I won't. I guess we're running this shit now. Excellent. You're lucky I have a brain hemorrhage, or I would never say this. At any rate. I don't like you and I don't respect you, but you're the only person available, so fuck it. What a dick. Oh, shit. Oh, well. I still have command. You heard it, right? You guys heard this. I'm in charge. Okay, first thing we're do, we're bringing back Rum Night. Second thing we're do, we're bringing back Spanx. Third thing, I guess we gotta take care of the enemy, I suppose. You gotta talk big, man. In war and in sports, you gotta talk cash shit all the time. That's right, now it's time for me to be arrogant. We pass an arrogance ball around, you see. Well, that can't be good. I assume. He's acting like it's not good. I thought they were... Yeah, they're attacking from both sides. Right. This motherfucker, really? Really? He's gonna disobey orders? Then die then, motherfucker. Dumbass. That's how I feel about it, too. I ain't crying over that bitch. It's like a circle. That's kind of pretty. Yeah. You know your buddy's dead. Come on, you gotta break the news to Jessica. Like I said, you can score her on the rebound. It is quite magical. We can make money off both these motherfuckers. He's on some Palpatine shit, man. Yeah, mad the motherfucker. You should have been there for him. You should have saved him. Wow, I like how they animated her tears. Holy shit, that is great, man. Look at that. That turns into stars, man. That's fucking amazing. They're so creative, man. The creativity of the animation. We're not even talking about the writing. The writing's phenomenal, of course. But the creativity of the animation, because you got to think of this shit, man. It may seem obvious to us. Yeah, of course they would do that. Somebody had to sit there and think of that. It's not even like you get on set and you see the actor, you're like, wait a minute. The way the light hit that actor when they just walked past through this room, let's do that. That happens sometimes. You don't need imagination for that. You just need to have your eyes open and be paying attention. You know, have an open mind. In animation, everything gets created from fucking blank paper. You have to think up everything we see. You have to think it up. So even if this is originally based on manga, you know, that dude had to, whoever did the manga had to think it up originally. That's the highest form of creativity, I believe. That's why I think animation is the highest form of filmmaking, because you have to think this shit up or it doesn't happen. You don't get to a location where, wow, that fucking tree. If we frame a shot here, we can see the building through the tree. That is fucking amazing. I just happened to notice that because I was walking around the location. No. If you want that fucking awesome shot, you have to think it up. There is no stumbling across it, man. Animation is the highest form of creativity. Just a little postscript here. I'm going to talk about one of the things I think inspired this series. So if you just care about the reactions and direct commentary to the movie that we just saw, you can leave it here. When I was younger, I collected a lot of board games, war games that are, physical media. Like not figurines. I was never into the action figures that fight each other, Warhammer or whatever the hell, miniatures, I guess they call them. I was never into that. I was into like the little square pieces you move around on a map, and you roll dice and you have charts and all that shit. That's the kind of board games I was into, the war games. One of them was called Jutland, and it made me very familiar with the way naval battles were conducted in World War One. And I think this series is heavily influenced by World War One, way more than World War Two. I mean, you've got the motherfucker called the Kaiser. You didn't have a Kaiser in World War Two, and also just the way the fleets are constructed. The fleets were much more political appointees in World War One as opposed to World War Two. I mean, there's always politics in the military. Don't get me wrong, but it was more so back then. The further back you go in time, the more the higher-ranking generals bought their way or used political favors to be in charge of troops, which is why you could have such a disparity in command. You could have such bad commanders because they didn't rise through the ranks. They weren't promoted like you are in the military now. You're not going to find a bad commander in the military for the most part these days. You may find a mediocre one, but I think that's as low as it goes. They had bad commanders, really bad, didn't know what the fuck they were doing, bad, in the past. The further back in the past, the more you can see that. So Jutland, and I'm going to show some screenshots. I actually dug up the old board game, pulled some of the different parts of it out, and just to give an example of what it looked like. It was a fleet game, and the Battle of Jutland was a real battle that happened in World War One. It was really a stalemate for the most part. I think the British came up slightly ahead, but in World War One, they were so afraid to have a naval battle because they didn't want to lose their battleships. Because if you lost a battleship, that was such a massive investment of resources. So both sides were afraid to commit their navies to do anything. And it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened in, say, 1915 if the Germans had committed their fleet and tried to do something and block the channel or something. Just really tried to fucking force the issue. Because they ended up, they only used their fleet the one time in Jutland. The fleet had no impact otherwise. They just sat in the ports for the most part. They'd rather not do anything with their fleets than lose their fleets. And again, like if they lost their fleet, maybe then England could have invaded Germany itself. So I guess it makes sense to a certain extent. As long as the Germans have their fleet, England can't do that. So I understand. But the point is, both sides were just terrified to commit their fleets and to lose their fleets. So the naval battle really had little impact in World War One. But the discipline, the way the fleets were organized, there were so many rules back then in World War One. There weren't so many rules in World War Two. Like the rules were like the rule book was thrown out. For instance, in World War One, fleets would go in a straight line. Like imagine I did a Google search and tried to find a picture of an overhead view of what it looked like, but they didn't have planes back then to really do it. You'd have to have a diagram. And I didn't really see a good example of any diagram showing the way they would line up. But basically, just imagine 10 ships lined up nose to ass in a straight line. And when one would turn, the next one would turn at the exact same spot. The first one would turn, it'd be geometric, right? So you'll see on the screenshots I showed you, one of the things is this little cardboard piece that you use it to line up the ships because that's how you have to move the ships. They go in lines. Now you can have two lines or you can have one line, but you can't have them spread out where they're side to side to side to side and they go like that. You don't do that. They go in a line and they may like try to circle a fleet and then they can all fire their side guns all at the same time because that's the guns work side for the most part, broadside. But it's all very regimented. It's all very specific, and you had to turn on a dime, and you had to whatever the ship in front of you was doing. You did the same thing they did. It didn't matter what it was, right? And so I can see that inspiring a lot of what we see here. A lot of their tactics are very regimented. You know what I'm saying? So it just reminded me, every time both movies I've watched this now, it's made me think of this Jutland game, just the way the tactics were back then. And I think they were heavily inspired with that. And I think it's cool. One of my favorite sci-fi novels, I cannot remember the name of it, involved aliens were losing a war because they didn't know how to do tactics. They didn't know how to do. They couldn't do strategy tactics. They hadn't fought a war in millennia, and so what they did is they came to Earth and they kidnapped an Earthling because they hoped the Earthling knew strategy and tactics. This was during the Napoleonic Wars, so they kidnapped one of Napoleon's lieutenants, and he had learned a lot from Napoleon. So what he did is he went to space. And he used Napoleon's tactics in space, and it worked. And so the entire novel, they're talking about, well, this is what Napoleon did in this battle, so this is how we're going to arrange our forces, and this is how we're going to trick them, and all that stuff. And it went into elaborate detail. So obviously the novel was inspired by the Napoleonic Wars. I like that shit. It's a great way to do it. George R. R. Martin has based many of his battles on real life battles. There's no better way, because none of us writers are going to be trained generals with 30 years experience to be able to develop these tactics out of our asses. None of us have ever attended the Naval War College, where they try all these simulations. And they sit there and they'll sit there at the computers and basically, well, they're essentially computer games, but they're simulations. What happens if we do this? And what happens if we do that, right? And the computer will simulate it out, and you'll look at the results, and you can actually try your tactics out in a simulation. It's never be as good as the real thing, but like that, we haven't done that, so we don't know what we don't know how to construct strategy and tactics out of thin air. We know general principles. I know some general rules of thumb from the various war games I've played and stuff, and nothing will kick your ass faster than squad leader, because squad leader is all about like who has the height advantage, who has the high ground. I know that's become a meme because of Star Wars, but if you have the high ground as squad leader, and you can target this open piece of field, like there's an open field with no trees around, there's nothing blocking the vision. You're sitting up here with the fucking 50 caliber machine gun. 1,000 troops could go through that same spot. He can kill them all. Because that's what would happen in real life. So you learn, you don't go across that open field. If they have the high ground, you got to fucking hide in the trees, man. That's what they do in real life. Now, I'm not saying I could be a squad commander because I play squad leader. I'm just saying it makes you think of shit that if you hadn't played it, you wouldn't think about how important the fucking high ground is. Somebody, if he has a height advantage, he can see you, but you can't see him because he's going down. And you're going up. And in fact, his bullets can go a little further because of gravity. So you're a sitting duck, man. They could fucking wipe you out. That's just one of the things, right? So the point is, it's better to base your writing on real battles because these generals worked it out in real life. You can see what happened. You say, okay, this is what happened in real life. And then you can read the theories of historians and military experts who said, if this had been done differently, this is what could have happened. You take that shit, you take it to your story, you change it around a little bit, and then you've got your battle, right? It makes sense, logically. You don't have some stupid-ass fucking tactics that any fucking grade school historian be like, damn, man, what the fuck you do that? The Battle of Winterfell, for instance. So, Jesus, those tactics were terrible. So, basically the point is, I'm just saying, like, I think they got a lot of their inspiration from World War I, specifically Navy, and I like it a lot. And I think it just... it adds an extra little dose of coolness for me.